All right, in this video, we are going to review everything that we learned in Module 1. This is for Algebra 1 Honors in Osceola County. And the two benchmarks that we worked on in our Module 1 was AR.2.1, which is solving equations for a variable of interest, and AR.1.2, writing and solving real-world one-variable equations. The key here is that we have to write and solve from a real-world situation, so a lot of word problems. All right, this is what our study guide looked like. These first three questions in the study guide or in the review are relating to the rearranging equations benchmark. And then the other six are writing and solving real-world one-variable equations. So one thing I did want to point out is from our notes, Module 1, Lesson 2 notes, in that video or in that lesson, we did this problem. We solved P is equal to 2L plus 2W. So this is a very similar type of equation than what we will see on the Module 1 test. So I wanted to make sure we reviewed it and everybody understood. Not because it's difficult, but just because the last step is to simplify. So if we need to solve for L, we need to get this L by itself. The first thing we're going to worry about is this term here that is being added to the L. So instead of addition, we're going to subtract because that's the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. So then we get P minus 2W is equal to 2L. So then our second step, because this is showing us multiplication, 2 times L is multiplying, what we're going to do is divide each term by 2. So what I've seen most students do is actually divide this side by 2 and this side by 2, which is fine, but we just need to make sure that we're simplifying this right here, because when we simplify negative 2W divided by 2, you're going to see that the 2's actually cancel out or really become 1. So P divided by 2 is just P divided by 2. Nothing to simplify there. Negative 2W divided by 2 is going to be negative W. And 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just equal to L. So this here would be our final answer. L is equal to P over 2 minus W. This is your most simplified answer, and these would be the type of answer choices that you might see on your test. All right, so as I'm going through these notes, this is my highlighting key. So addition and subtraction. So addition is pink, subtraction is blue. And so those are inverse operations, opposite operations. Multiplication is orange, division is green, and these are also your inverse operations. So whenever you're multiplying, to undo it, you're going to divide. Whenever you're dividing, to undo it, we're going to multiply. All right, so to solve the equation below, how can the equation below be rewritten to solve for M? So we need to get the M by itself. And first what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this addition. So we're going to subtract because the inverse of addition is subtraction. So we have y minus y1. Those are not like terms because this one has a subscript of 1. So we're just going to write it as y minus y1 equals M multiplied by x minus x1. Well, this parentheses here is being multiplied times the n, and the inverse of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide by x minus x1. So our final answer is y minus y1 divided by x minus x1 is equal to our slope. Or M, sorry. We'll get to that later. The formula for finding the surface area of a prism is shown below. So surface area, or SA, is equal to 2B plus pH. So what is the same formula rewritten for H? Rewritten for H means we want to solve for H, okay, in terms of the other variables. So we want to rearrange this equation in order to have H by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is with this positive 2B needs to be moved over to the other side. So SA minus 2B is equal to pH. This P is being multiplied to the H, and the inverse of multiplication is division, So we're going to divide both sides by p. Now remember, we really are dividing every term by p, but since there is nothing to simplify here, we can just leave it written as a fraction, because a fraction shows division, and we have SA minus 2b divided by p is equal to h. Our last one for this benchmark is going to be, we're given the formula for volume of a cone. Volume of a cone is equal to 1/3 base times height. We're going to rewrite the equation to solve for b. So I just want to point out that 1/3 is being multiplied times the b and the h, but this can also be written in another way. This could be written as BH is being divided by 3, because when you're multiplying by a fraction, you are actually dividing. And the reason why I point that out is because when we have division, the operation division, we can actually do the inverse by multiplying by 3. So we multiply both sides by 3. We get 3V is equal to BH. Divide by H. And we get 3V divided by H is equal to B. And we have solved the equation. Now, if you're comfortable with multiplying by 3 first here in order to get rid of the fraction, then you can do that and you do not have to rewrite it. I just want you to understand why my first step is multiplying by 3. All right, on to our next two problems. This is our second benchmark for this lesson. So Xfinity is rolling out a new gaming subscription for its TV subscribers. Xfinity develops the equation, so they're giving us the equation in this problem. P is equal to 4.56S minus 7,115. To estimate the amount of profit, P, per subscriber, S, if Xfinity sets a goal of 125,000, so this is their profit goal, on gaming subscriptions for the first month, how many subscribers do they need to reach its profit goal? So the $125,000 represents the profit. So we're going to replace the P, we're going to take out the P and put in 125,000. Now we have an equation that we can solve. So we have subtract or negative 7,115. The inverse of subtraction is addition. So we add 7,115 to both sides. Then we have 4.56 is being multiplied times the S. The inverse would be division. So we divide both sides by 4.56. You can see I did that in my calculator here. And I got 28,972.59. Now we are talking about subscribers here, and we can't have 0.59 of a subscriber. So we're going to round to the nearest subscriber or whole number. So 28,973 subscribers is what Xfinity would need in order to reach their profit goal of 125,000. All right. A taxi ride in Los Angeles costs $3.75. I hope it's not $375. So taxi ride costs $3.75 plus $7 for each mile traveled. Write an equation to represent the cost, C, where the distance, D, is traveled. So the $7 for each mile traveled is talking about the distance. So that's where our variable is going to go. It's going to be 7 times the distance. The $3.75 only happens one time, that initial time you sit in the taxi. So cost is equal to 3.75 plus 7D. That's the equation. And then we need to figure out if Javier traveled 9.5 miles by taxi, how much was the cost? So here in this part B, we're just going to plug in the 9.5 for the D. So 3.75 plus 7 times 9.5. The cost of Javier's taxi ride in this situation would be $70.25. However, what if I told you the cost of Javier's ride, for example, $173.85, and asked how many miles he traveled. Well, then what I would do is take out the C, cost, and plug in the 173.85. Then I would have to solve for D to find the distance. So this is a positive 3.75, so I subtract 3.75. And then the 7 is being multiplied by the D, so I would divide by 7. And you'll notice that when I divide by 7, I get 24.3. So in this scenario, he would have traveled 24.3 miles, and we already knew the cost. All right, question number 6. Elise borrows $290 from her mom to buy the new Series 8 Apple Watch. She will repay $50 to start, and then another $30 per week. The equation can be used to determine W, the number of weeks it will take for Elise to repay the entire amount. So she borrowed $290. So to fill in this blank here, I would use the $290 because that's how much she's going to have to pay her mom back. She only paid $50 to start. So multiply that times 1 because it was only one time that Elise paid $50. And then she paid $30 per week. So it would be 30W. Now they want you to find out how many weeks it will take Elise to repay her mom the total amount. So we have to solve for W. So 290 equals 50 plus 30W. We would subtract 50 from both sides, then divide by 30, and we get W is equal to 8. So it will take Elise 8 weeks to repay her mom. Question number 7. A train leaves Orlando traveling at a speed of 100 miles per hour. 2 hours later, a second train leaves Orlando traveling at a speed of 140 miles per hour. So the train's distances from Orlando at T hours can be represented by the expressions 100T and 140T minus 2. So they're giving you the two expressions here. Then it asks, after how much time T will the two trains, so these two trains, will be the same distance from Orlando. Anytime you see the word same, what they want you to do with those equations, or expressions, is set them equal to each other so that it then become an equation that you can solve. So in order to solve this equation, I am first going to distribute the 140, so multiply it times the t, and multiply it times the 2, negative 2, and I get 100t is equal to 140t minus 280. Then I'm going to subtract 140t from both sides because I cannot combine similar terms if there is an equal side in the middle. So I'm going to bring the 140t to the other side. And I end up with negative 40t is equal to negative 280. Divide by negative 40, and t is equal to a positive 7. So after 7 hours, the trains will be at the same distance from Orlando. Question 8 and 9. All right, the coldest temperature recorded in Key West, Florida was 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to, anytime I see was, that's going to be my clue to equal. The temperature was 153 degrees colder. Well, that's going to be on the other side of the equal sign. So 153 degrees colder minus 153. Then 2 times the hottest temperature recorded in Key West. So 2t minus 153 equals 41. We're going to solve for t, so we add 153 to both sides. 2t is equal to 194, divide by 2. T is equal to 97. We get 97 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, Shelly rented a car while on vacation. The car costs $125 per day. It includes 100 miles free and then charges 57 cents per mile. Her total price that she paid was $270.92. So we're going to subtract 125 from both sides. Then we're going to divide by 57 cents. And finally, we're going to add 100. So 356 is equal to M. So Shelley drove 356 miles. Sorry if I went through that one a little fast. I am out of time. Good luck on your test.